We currently have 60 horses here in Vienna, but a total of 114 horses work for us. And stable-wise, we have space for 71 horses in Vienna.
The daily routine here is fairly strict.
Yes, we have a very strict, constant routine because we have so many horses in the city and they all want to be well taken care of. They need their daily exercise. So we have the training time from 7 in the morning until 12:30, and each horse has about half an hour of training each day.
What do you enjoy most about the work that you're doing here at the Spanish Riding School?
Well, the most fun you have, of course, when you are in the stables, when you get to see the horses, because you have various characters in the stables. Not every horse is the same. You have some that like to pose a little bit, some horses that love the attention, they are very cuddly, and then you have some horses that are very dominant male, because we only work with stallions. Yeah, it's not very monotonous to work here, so you have different horses, you have different riders, because they also rotate out to the countryside regularly. And of course, particularly in my job, you see a lot of fans of the Spanish Riding School that come in the afternoon and want to meet the horses, and that's just really great because there are worldwide a lot of people who have read of these horses or seen them on TV, and this is the first chance for them to be in Vienna, and when they meet them they tend to be very happy to just see where the horses live and what it's like for the horses at the Spanish Riding School.
How long does it take for a rider to qualify for the riding school?
It is always very individual, so we often have people just trying out, and then sometimes we have people, of course, they want to finish their studies first. But ultimately, the tryout process usually takes a few months. And especially the young apprentices who start out here have very romantic notions of what it means to work with the horses in the stables, so we have a quite high dropout rate.
You have the grooms and you also have the riders, don't you? So what's the difference really?
The grooms never get to ride. So a groom is taking care of the horses, but they are not the ones training the horses. They are not allowed to ride. So the grooms work during the morning shift with their own 4 to 8 horses, depending on how much staff we currently have. And the grooms make sure that the horses are fed, well taken care of, cleaned, brought into the riding arena for the training, and well taken care of afterwards. Whereas the riders have to train 5 to 10 horses each and every day, and that is of course also a lot of responsibility, including of course also training young riders.
And that I have to ask you is, what happens to the horse manure that was taken out from the stables?
We do have a big manure pit right here, and it fits I think 8 tons of manure and horse waste. So we have to pay a company that takes care of it. It's so, the amounts that we have each week, it's not possible to turn it all into fertilizer, even though a small portion is usually used as fertilizer.
What can a tourist, when they come to Vienna, experience here at the riding school?
If you come as a tourist to Vienna, you have various options of experiencing the Spanish Riding School. If you're not so much interested in the horses, more in the cultural aspect, I would always advise to go see a performance. The performance is culturally stimulating. It's very beautiful. People who don't know anything about horses or who don't necessarily love horses usually think it's quite spectacular and quite magnificent. If you love horses, if you're interested of learning more about the history, then the guided tours are great because you get to see the horses in the stables, you get to see the buildings, you get to take photos. But during the guided tour, you don't see riding necessarily. So maybe if you want more of the horses, and riders then go and watch a training. The training, I always say, is something for people who are really interested in horses and riding, because not every training session is very spectacular. So you see how the riders do their basic workouts with the horses, and for non-horsey people that can be a little bit boring. So a lot of people come here with expectations of seeing the famous exercises and those beautiful choreographies, and are then slightly disappointed if in the training they see complicated exercises but they can't recognize them because it's not as spectacular as the jumps they might know from photos or videos. Also go on private guided tours if you don't want to spend the time with other tourists, so you don't have to be in a bulk of maybe 20-30 people, but you can book individual private guided tours as well.
So there's a whole range of experiences that are possible here.
Yes, definitely. So from the people who don't know anything about horses up to the people who are really interested and spend like almost 3 days here, everything is possible. Queen Elizabeth II was here with, of course, her husband, Prince Philip, in the 60s. Yeah, it was her only state visit to Vienna and to Austria, and then of course she visited the horses. But the Spanish riding school has been to London and the UK quite often, and whenever we were close to the Queen, then she usually stepped into the stables after all the people had gone. Very often, if there was just 1 or 2 grooms on side, then she would pop in and say hello to the horses, because she knew, of course, the performances. She didn't want to distract from the shows necessarily, but she thought our horses were quite beautiful, and of course we were always happy to have her and let her meet some of our stallions.
Perhaps the new king would like to make his presence felt here.
Well, you know, King Charles is very welcome to come by anytime he wants. Actually, Queen Consort Camilla was here during their last visit.